Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's get started with our daily quiz and look at question number 1. Consider the following statements. Number 1, it is binding on the president to nominate 12 members to Rajya Sabha. 2, the nomination of members is a discretionary power of the president. 3, a member cannot be renominated after the term is over. You would know that before 104th Constitutional Amendment Act, the president had to nominate 2 MPs to Lok Sabha from Anglo-Indian community. 104th Constitutional Amendment Act, what it did, number 1, it extended the political reservation for SCs and STs in Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies by another 10 years. So one thing that 104th Amendment did, it extended the political reservation for 10 years, but at the same time, it ended this Anglo-Indian reservation. That means now there is no reservation for Anglo-Indians in Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies. But this nomination of members of Anglo-Indian community to Lok Sabha, it was not binding on the president. Constitution said if the president is satisfied when the Anglo-Indian community is not adequately represented in Lok Sabha, in that case, the president could have nominated 2 members from Anglo-Indian community to Lok Sabha. But when it comes to nomination of members to Rajya Sabha, it is binding on the President of India. It is binding on the President of India to nominate 12 members to Rajya Sabha from the fields of art, literature, science, social service. That's number 1. Number 2, the nomination of members is a discretionary power of the President. No, this is incorrect. Why? Because the President of India does not have discretionary powers. There is only one discretionary power that can be attributed to the President of India, and that is the appointment of the Prime Minister. In the appointment of the Prime Minister, the President enjoys discretionary powers. But once the Prime Minister is appointed, every recommendation, every advice of the Prime Minister becomes binding on the President of India. So President nominates these members to Rajya Sabha based on the recommendation, based on the advice of the government. So this statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 3, a member cannot be renominated after the term is over. This again is incorrect. What is the question asking? Which of the above statements are incorrect? 2 and 3 incorrect. So B is the right answer. What is the context? Swapan Das Gupta has been renominated to Rajya Sabha, but this time on a BJP ticket. Some of you might be confused with this case of Swapan Das Gupta. Let me address this case in less than 2 minutes so that there is clarity on this topic. Swapan Das Gupta, the year was 2016. He was nominated by the President of India to Rajya Sabha. A nominated member, he or she can join a political party, but within 6 months of his nomination. So when Swapan Das Gupta was nominated to Rajya Sabha by the President in the year 2016, he had 6 months to join the BJP. But if you join a political party 6 months after your nomination, you will be disqualified under anti-defection law. What Swapan Das Gupta did, he was nominated to Rajya Sabha by the president, but at the same time he did not join the BJP. But then this year, he was asked by the BJP to contest West Bengal Legislative Assembly elections on a BJP ticket. That means for that he had to join the BJP. He was nominated to Rajya Sabha in 2016 and now it is 2021. 6 month period is over. Now, if he joins BJP after his nomination, he would be disqualified under anti-defection law. So what he did, he resigned as the member of the Rajya Sabha, joined the BJP, contested the Legislative Assembly elections from West Bengal and lost the elections. And when he lost, he was now renominated again to Rajya Sabha by the president on the BJP ticket. This is something unprecedented. The Congress politician Jairam Ramesh has tweeted that this is perhaps the first time since Rajya Sabha came into being in 1952 that such a thing has happened. That means somebody whose term is over or who has resigned as a member of Rajya Sabha from the nominated category. He has been re-nominated to Rajya Sabha. But this is not unconstitutional. This may be a question of propriety. This may be a question of ethics. This may be a question of morality. But this is not a question of law. So that is question number one. Let's look at question number two. Purchasing Managers Index or PMI is an economic indicator which is derived after monthly surveys of different companies. For manufacturing PMI, the questionnaire is sent to manufacturing companies. And these questions are related to 5 key variables. Based on these 5 key variables, this manufacturing PMI is arrived at. And these 5 key variables are new orders, output, employment, suppliers, delivery times, stock of items purchased. And all of these variables are assigned weights. And based on these weights, this PMI index is being arrived at. For new orders, the weight is 30%. For output, 25%. For employment, it is 20%. For suppliers, delivery times, it is 15%. For stock of items purchased, it is 10%. The question is asking which one of the following reflects the correct increasing order according to their weights. So increasing order would be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A is the right answer. Whenever a PMI number is greater than 50, we say that the business activity has undergone expansion. But whenever this number is less than 50, it shows contraction. What is the context? This is today's business standard. Manufacturing PMI tumbles to 10-month low. It has slipped to 50.8. In April, it was 55.5. But that is just above 50 marks, separating growth from contraction, separating expansion from contraction. But in May 2020, last year, this manufacturing activity had contracted. The PMI fell to 30.8 because that was the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. So same month last year, the PMI was 30.8. Few facts related to PMI can be relevant for your prelims examination. This PMI was started for the first time by a US-based Institute of Supply Management. The year was 1948. And in India, IHS Markit India produces the PMI for India. And this index is derived after a survey of 500 manufacturing companies. That's question number 2A is the right answer. Let's look at question number 3. Vande Bharat mission is related to. Pause this video and let me know in the comment section what is the right answer. A. Bringing back stranded Indians from foreign destinations after suspension of regular international flights due to COVID-19. Or is it related to evacuation of Indian citizens from South Sudan? Or is it related to India's role in anti-piracy operations in Djibouti? Or none of the above? What is the context? This is a beautiful column written by Suhasini Haider. Prime Minister Modi said something very important. He said that in times to come, the planet will remember events as either pre-COVID or post-COVID. But what about diplomacy? COVID diplomacy 1.0 and 2.0. This is related to first wave. This is related to the second COVID-19 wave. In the first wave, the focus of the government of India or the Ministry of External Affairs or India's diplomacy was number one, Vande Bharat. And what is this Vande Bharat? Bringing back stranded Indians from foreign destinations after suspension of regular international flights due to COVID-19. The focus also was on the export of drugs. For example, the export of anti-malarial drug. And when the vaccines were manufactured, the focus of Indian diplomacy was also to export these vaccines to other countries. But now the deadly second COVID wave has hit India. And now there is a shift in India's diplomacy. Initially, Indian diplomacy was focused on getting oxygen concentrators, getting drugs such as remdesivir, and now the focus is on getting drugs related to the black fungus. Now the focus is on dealing with the foreign manufacturers as well as the governments for the import of vaccines to India because we are short of vaccines as well. So if Prime Minister Modi said that in times to come the planet will remember events as either pre-COVID or post-COVID, Suhasini Haidar has applied this quote to India's diplomacy or COVID diplomacy. But the answer to question number 3 is A. Now let's look at question number 4. Jan Dhan Yojana deals with, is it financial inclusion? No. For that we have Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which is a scheme targeting financial inclusion. Is it tax relief for street vendors? No. Is it the 6-month moratorium on term loans announced by the Reserve Bank of India during COVID-19 lockdown? No. Is it dealing with economic development of tribals? Yes. 4D is the right answer. This scheme, Jan Dhan Yojana, was launched in the year 2018. Why? To improve the tribal income. This initiative, what it basically wants, it wants to ensure livelihood for the tribals. It wants to ensure and transform tribals into entrepreneurs. This scheme basically deals with minor forest produce. How to market this minor forest produce better so that the tribal livelihood is ensured. That is the crux of the scheme, Jan Dhan Yojana. D is the right answer. What is the context? This is today's PIB news. Jan Dhan Yojana to be expanded this year in the Union Territories of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. Now let's look at a previous year's question paper, Prelims 2017. The object of the Butler Committee of 1927 was to, pause this video again and let me know in the comment section what is the right answer. And the right answer is D, to improve the relationship between the Government of India and the Indian states. Now let's look at the fact of the day, UNICEF and the child labor. What is the context? This is today's The Hindu newspaper, a beautiful column, breaking the cycle of child labor is in India's hands. According to UNICEF, a child is involved in child labor. These facts can be very important. A child is involved in child labor if he or she is between the age of 5 and 11 and does at least 1 hour of economic activity or at least 28 hours of domestic work in a week. This is if the child is between the age of 5 and 11, according to UNICEF. But if the child is in the age group of 12 to 14 and he does 14 hours of economic activity or at least 42 hours of domestic work in a week, then we can say that this child is involved in child labor. That is it from our daily quiz. Thank you for being with us. Have a great evening.